Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have way too many people on the screen, but we're going to roll with it because that's how we're doing before IT Nation Connect. I'm Ray Rossini, host of this MSP Media Network presents the ConnectWise PitchIT finalists. These are the last three finalists of ConnectWise PitchIT. I got it right once, Sean. We've done like 30 of these. I got it right once.
I just don't understand how you're having such a struggle with it. I think we have enough practice at this point. I would think just by sheer repetition, you'd be good.
Or was it good showmanship giving controversy, building up to the final apex of perfection?
Really? Is that where we're going with? I don't know.
You can call me
Yeah.
John Woo for like total BS on the stream. Wait
Yeah.
for the dub to fly out.
Yeah.
But
That's it,
you
right?
are
That's
Sean
all.
Lardo, the grand premier of the ConnectWise Pitch It contest. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I feel like I should have some sort of special crown or hat on for that, but I'm just bald. But doing great though. It's been a long week, a couple weeks actually, preparation for IT Nisha Connect next week. So I'm super excited. I'm already tired and I haven't even gotten there yet. So that's what I tell you about this.
Does anybody else feel like they need like 5 more days before IT Nation, or like another 2 weeks maybe?
Hey, I just got back from Australia. I am still adjusting.
Yeah. I just got back from Disney last night at midnight or 8:00 after Tennessee at midnight. After coming back from Scottsdale, I'm dead, and I don't do nearly as many events as you guys do.
It's rough, right? It's rough.
It is.
It's rough. And then next week there won't be any sleep.
No, none at all.
There'll
Especially
no
you and I go in early for Evolve, so it's like
yeah, I'm gonna be and I have back to back everything. And for those that don't know, even Ray, take minus the Evolve part, Ray and Marvin B and all the guys we did all the live streams and podcast stuff, they're all coming to IT Nation Connect to create content there, to do interviews with you all and other people. So literally we have a schedule for that too. So coordinating that and that's like pulling teeth and like herding cats across the board. So yeah, it is.
It's not a small thing. Plus all the interviews we got lined up.
Yep.
It'll be fun. Speaking of fun, you're going to see the branding change because I had to go to a different show to get this real quick. I want to mention we did last night the Tech Bar pre-show, specifically talking about the Canines for Warriors event that ConnectWise is pitching on, the charity event. I want to put the link up. Sean, can you talk about it real quick?
And we have a YouTube link for their actual YouTube page, which I think is telling for them. I put it. It's in the back for you there, Ray. Yeah. So every year, for those that don't know, IT Nation has, and I didn't know until I worked for ConnectWise, by the way. So a lot of people won't know this even, but ConnectWise has a ton of charitable things they do. IT Nation cares, or IT Nation gives rather, is what it is, and it goes 24/7. All types of things that they do to help MSPs. For instance, they give money to MSPs that if there's a natural disaster, anything should occur, whatever it may be. It is they actually help the MSPs with that. But every year around IT Nation Connect now, we've been able to use this as a platform to start to donate to specific charities. And in this case, for this year, we're doing Canines for Warriors. I will give you the link in a minute here for where to go to donate.
I got the link.
For the donation link I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, perfect. So again, this year's is Canine for Warriors. Canines for Warriors is near and dear to my heart because I rescue dogs anyway myself, and I'm a veteran, so it kind of does both. There are some great stories that we met with some of the warriors. They will be on site for 3 days. Actually, we just got sent a video of the one guy that was that's going to be in on Thursday, and of course Andrea sends me the video, and I'm like sitting at my desk crying yesterday, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm already crying." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm already crying too." And so, but they're amazing.
You're crying.
No, we're past that point. We acknowledge that we're just crying now. It doesn't even matter. But their facilities are badass. They literally their slogan is first they save the dog saves the warrior, because they actually are rescuing dogs from no-kill shelters, and they're training them. So it's not like these are. I mean, they have a partnership with some other places that have dogs that are breeding for them, but really they're taking about 60% of dogs from shelters. So it's pretty dope, and they're trying to get to it. It is, right? It really is, and we're trying to raise $50,000. For every $25,000 that we raise, we'll save a dog, which means we'll also be saving a veteran or a warrior as well. And they will track the dog's progress through to graduation, even post that, and give us updates on what's going on the entire time, which is really cool. We're probably going to extend this to next year and do it again, or just keep going through the year because it's such an awesome thing. And yeah, so donations will be great.
Here's the big question coming out from the start, Sean. What kind of dog do you have?
Well, I'm not sure what he is. He's a pit mix.
Something.
He's a pit. Well, he's a rescue, right? And so when I got him, I never take young puppies because everybody wants the puppies. I actually go. Well, two reasons. One is because nobody ever takes the older dogs, and they're just sitting there for years. So both dogs I've rescued have both been pit mixes of something. And nobody wants pits because they think they're going to tear their face off, which is ridiculous because my dog is the biggest punk. He is ridiculous. He gets punked by little dogs and stuff. So, but yeah, he's a mix. And then also, I always get older dogs because they're usually potty trained already. I don't have time for that. Yeah. For those of us travel a lot, it's kind of difficult to maintain course with them. So yeah. But yeah, it's a pit mix with God knows what. He's not even around here right now. Oh yeah, he is. He's sleeping in a beanbag chair over there because he thinks that's his bed.
I think we should go through the panel and get the important questions answered out.
Right.
We'll start with Mark. Mark, what kind of pets do you have, man?
I have a miniature pinscher, a small dog. She's 5 years old, and true story, my wife gave birth to my son, and my dog gave birth to 3 puppies a week apart. So everybody was breastfeeding except me in the room. It was amazing.
Oh, I'm sure your wife loves
you were breastfeeding.
I'd be doing the same thing.
Wow, that's good.
That's awesome. What about you, Matt? What do you got?
Yeah, so my dad's not a veteran, but he is a veterinarian. So we grew up with golden retrievers, and I personally have a little 10 or 12 pound toy poodle.
Nice. Brian, what about you? You got any fluffy friends at home?
So we're between pets right now. We are 6 weeks into, or about 8 weeks into being empty nesters, and we decided to take a little break so we can go take a break. But I'm sure we'll be back at it in a year or two once we get over this initial fun phase.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. What about you, Matthew? What do you have anything?
I got 3 babies. 2 are rescues. One my ex-wife had to have, so she's a pure dachshund. But long story short, I had a friend who I ended up with the second one who evidently ran a shelter down near the Mexico-Texas border because her husband was stationed there. And they lost their lease. She calls me one day, here's your new dog. I said, excuse me? She goes, here's your new dog. This is when you'll pick him up because they made this whole caravan, people picking him up. I was like, but I'm not ready for, here is your new dog. Got it. Got
it. My in-laws, their dog passed away. This is my Bella, by the way. This is my attack dog.
Oh, here we go.
So
go cry.
That was a tech bar episode. We're not bringing that up, sir.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, no, we are. That's a great segue into this. So just so you guys know, we were doing the tech bar one night, and then Ray was intoxicated, and then gone, and then we were finished.
Sure, we were both intoxicated. It was just different levels.
Well, yeah. Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was. So anyway, long story short, I find out a week later that Ray decided to sit in his closet, and while he's in the closet, he professed his love and cried for the dog over and over.
Old. She looks like a puppy. She's 14 years old. She's, she's getting up there.
So he cried to his wife about how much he loves the dog and how much this dog is amazing. And yeah, keeps on, crying. So, I mean, can you imagine Ray in the closet?
I'm like an onion. In the words of Shrek, I'm like an onion.
Her neck, and when they said they might not be able to fix it and have to put her down, I cried like a baby for 3 days.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because I was freaking out, like, oh my God. What do we got to do to fit? Good news is, I hope I recover from surgery the way she did. That dog had her neck done and something fused, and the next day she's like,
oh man, and yes, many of you know I do have my dog tattooed with the rest of my family on my arm. So, we're not here to talk about dogs, though. We're here to talk about PitchIT. We've been talking. All three companies have been on this week. Oh, by the way, Mark, Kelvin Tehilar says hi. When we were doing the webinar, or Dutch Kevin, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
So, do you guys feel prepared? You guys have been preparing for, what is it, 20 something weeks, Sean?
So yeah, well, you figure they that all started second week of May is when we all met. When they were let known that they made the cut to be part of the program, and that was the first week of May approximately. We had the first meeting on the second week where it was an orientation with them, and since that second week of May, I've literally seen their mugs every week, and some not great.
I'm
some
sorry
are
for
all
you
right.
guys. Yeah, it's 26 weeks, 4 days. I'm sorry for you guys.
I mean, every week it is a bond.
That's
Absolutely.
yeah, that's one way to do it.
You become a side chick.
You know, or when the
And
toilet
Matthew-
paper doesn't
and
grab
Matthew-
everything. It's something. It's something.
And
It's
Matthew's the side chick, just so you know. He loves that role.
oh, yeah. Matthew, you know you're not the only one, right? Like
I do.
Sean has host tendencies. I'm just saying it now.
I do.
All right, Mark and Matt, 26 weeks you've been doing this. You guys were not brand new when you came into PitchIT. You'd already been around a little bit, right? Or more than a little bit.
Still fairly new.
Yeah, it's still fairly new. So, whatchamacallit, what have you learned up to now? Like, what were the surprises? What were the things that just made you think, like, wow, I was not expecting this?
For me, it was incredibly valuable, right? If you come in and you're able to listen and understand that every week you're gonna have an expert in a specific subject area or domain giving you really, really great tips and feedback specific to the channel or like adjacent. A lot of great info, and I think for us, operational maturity levels was a big kind of unlock for how we think about value.
What about you, Mark? Pretend that Brian and Matthew aren't here. What's of all the coaching you guys have received, what's the one thing you're trying to keep top of mind before you go into next week?
Yeah, I think brevity and the importance of clear communication was something that was really important and drilled into us about, like it really matters how long you pitch and it doesn't matter how many slides, but you have to be really mindful about time and be concise and straight to the point. And so going into it, we have our timers everywhere. We've been practicing and timing it, making sure that we have good flow. So for me, and it's really helped even as I talk to partners through sales process, just making sure that I'm mindful of the timing.
There's always timers everywhere. There's always.
I see them in my sleep.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like, I don't think MSPs realize this, but as we move into vendor world, there's always two conversations going on at the same time, right? It's the conversation with the MSP as you're talking to them, and the conversation in your head of, I have all of these things I need to go over while I'm talking to them, and make sure I have their attention, and think about next steps, and think about whoever else is waiting in line at the booth to talk to me.
That's right.
It's not easy, and honestly, they are skills that would translate to MSPs without question, because sales are sales are sales.
Absolutely. But presentation, regardless, right?
Yeah,
and in order, I think to convey your message, your value prop, and how you get to places has to be organized. Because what ends up happening is you end up having a conversation with somebody and you forget the important pieces maybe for expectation setting, or you don't even get the objection because you didn't mention it. So you lose them, so it's extremely important. And granted, we're talking about they can say different things, but it's still the same context of you need to have a certain regimented approach to practicing this to learn if you're doing well enough or not, and to tweak, and to how do you know why you lost a deal?
That's right.
No, you got to say how you're thinner, lighter, faster. We know that's Apple. But maybe next year we consider doing a PitchIT for MSPs, because these are all things MSPs should know. And
I suggest MSPs
these is all things we sucked at. So
yeah, you did. I remember.
And thank God I got all that straight before Sean started working with me. No.
Yeah. Wait. So guys, just so you understand how PitchIT even became a factor, even to me, even and realizing the importance of it. I've been in sales for a long time, so generally pitching decks was normal, but I didn't realize how important it was until I watched Ray do a presentation on a call one day. I was sitting in his office and he had his 75 monitors up, and he's talking to this guy on the phone. He's like literally they're on Teams, or they were, I think maybe it was Zoom at that point. And he's literally
probably Zoom, because we were still
pulling
Slack house
screenshots from different monitors to talk to this guy. And I was like, and at the end, it was like a 2-hour call. I was like, I don't even know what part was the business and what was just bullshit. I have no idea. I don't even know where this stuff is. Like, what is? And he was like, "Oh, it's so easy. It's just here, there, do that." And I was like, "Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about right now." And like, literally, it forced us to create a presentation deck and be disciplined about it, because all the good content you never get out unless you organize it.
Well, what was worse, that or me playing Call of Duty while I was on sales calls?
Yeah, that was stupid. It was a waste of my time.
I was notorious. Yeah, but I closed deals, so whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if they like,
I would tell them. I would tell them I was on playing Call of Duty while I was talking to them, and and I didn't have to show anything.
Yeah, a true professional,
and it worked for me. It worked for me.
Well,
I'm pretty sure Sam Bankman, SBF, also played video games, and he just got convicted to 110 years of jail time. So I don't know, playing video games during sales time.
I wouldn't be able to do that level of multitask. I tell you that.
I didn't say I was good at it. I still got my ass kicked by a bunch of 12-year-olds. But that's how it is off the sales call. So I was like, two birds, one stone. All right. So I'm supposed to ask this, even though I've yet to hear a bad complaint, any complaints. Let's pretend Sean's not on this call. Brian, would you recommend PitchIT to any other starting vendors?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt I would. So we got rid of Sean, so that's perfect. No, I would, because no matter where you are in the pitch process, similar to Sean, I spent most of my life on the sales side of things too. But between the speakers that we got to educate us, our coaches, and really just taking a very hard look at yourself and what you've been putting out there, it's invaluable, right? I mean, most of us, work in a little bit of a vacuum, especially when you're in the early stages of startup, and you hear the voices in your head and not voices from the outside sometimes. So, it really helps you kind of shape your value proposition, understand what you want to go, and sometimes understand the value you didn't even know you had hidden in the project or product as well. So, I definitely am firmly behind it. The only shame about being a finalist this year is I don't get to do it again next year.
So speaking of doing it again, Matthew, you've done this rodeo, not the PitchIT rodeo, but you've done this vendor rodeo a couple times already. What's going into this, what would you, if you're going to talk to the next round that can't be a PitchIT finalist, what advice would you give them that you do?
I think I would tell them to look at their organization, understand the holes they have, and make sure that you really pay attention and ask a lot of questions to those presentations or those sections of it. Because I think most business owners or even startups, I think they know nowadays where they have holes, but they also know what they don't know. And I think really making sure that you're honing in on, if you're crappy at social media and you know it, make sure you're there, make sure you listen, make sure that you're able to ask a million questions, because there's nowhere else to, the way Brian alluded, you've got all these people that are looking at you and your company from the outside, not you inside your head anymore. Take advantage of that. It's huge.
It is. It really is. So Sean, how do you feel they're prepared for this? Like,
well,
do you feel you've done this? This is the second bigger, better PitchIT. How do you feel about these guys going into it?
I watched them all evolve. Actually, it's funny because when I first heard Mark pitch, he was all over the damn place because he was an engineer guy nerding out. Sound familiar? Right? Always, right? Which is notorious.
Go for engineers, woo.
Right? Which is great if you're in that stage of the conversation, right? But you got to get in that stage of the conversation before you can start talking in that depth, right? But Mark is a good target. He's an easy target because I watched him do it. And I even told Bobby after, I was like, you got to tell Mark, you got to back it off. We'll all talk together, and it worked, right? But it was good. Not that the information wasn't important; it just wasn't important yet, and that was the thing. And so Mark even saying that being concise and getting the point quick tells you right there you paid attention to it and learned from it. And then even like for the betterment of Matthew himself, he's already seen enough vendors. And again, it's you don't know what you don't know, and it's even back to you and I presenting, right? Ray, when I first saw your stuff, it's when you're in the box and you do this every day. There's no constructive feedback for that, right? See, at least, but when you're either the problem, or you're the culprit, or you're the victim. Sometimes you're the solver, right? And so you find yourself solving them sometimes when you're on the outside looking in. right? And so, so Matthew's had the benefit of that, which might help him in the long run. We'll see what's up. And actually, and I sat with all these guys prior to their preliminaries too, getting ready for the preliminary pitches with the Battle Royale with Matt. And it was nice to see that from day one with them to that day, the cleanup that occurred, to being so concise. And, all I kept stressing and all the team kept stressing is, what problem do you solve and why? I don't care how you did it yet. Just tell me what the problems you're solving first. And they all were able to convey that, and even, Brian, he should be the stud on this, right? Because he's selling an actual sales tool, ultimately. And even Brian had mishaps because, again, it's his baby. He's in that box. And so you could see the evolution of all of them. And when it came down to, push came to shove, they all were able to step outside of themselves to actually do this. And you can see, again, you can see in the presentation decks, you can see here by the way they speak to it, there's a reason why they're here still.
So Brian, let me ask you something. Like Sean said, you're in sales, right? So there's nobody that's going to say all the advice I got was fantastic. If you do, you're full of it. Was there any advice, hopefully coaches aren't watching, was there any advice that you disagreed with, even if it was initially?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, right? We were talking a little bit about it even before this call today, right? Matt and I, people want to tweak a little bit of your message, and forgetting that you got to be on stage and get this done in 5 minutes, right? And that one added thing might not add enough to the experience to need to be there, right? So that was one definite thing. The other thing is, it was that shift of mindset, because you do only have a prescriptive amount of time, whether it's 30 seconds or the 5 minutes to get things out. You got to come back off the features, and you do got to drill into the what solves the problem. But what I think the problem I'm solving isn't necessarily what others think the problem is. And that was an interesting perspective for me too, to go, people really want this out of this, but I've been really focused on giving them this out of this, which apparently is only important to me. So we'll drop that out of my speech now. So, with the coaches, hard, there was a little bit of conflict going back and forth going, I really think that's important. And them telling me it's really not. And me either coming to grips or digging my heels in, right? And saying, I'm going to keep it there.
So I had that exact argument with Sean early on, because I was, and it goes back to that echo chamber problem, right? Like, I was really good at selling to people that I saw eye to eye with. Yeah, I could sell that all day. I could sell ice to an Eskimo. It was the different personas. It was the different personas that that I didn't have the skill sets yet for. So, that was good. Matthew, let me ask you, man, same thing. You had a lot of experience coming into this. Was there any stuff where you're like, this doesn't make sense to me?
Yeah, there certainly was.
Yeah, are you going to specify what Matt, by the way, when you talk?
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Well, you know the lower third, that one. I'm sorry, Matthew.
But no, Brian and I were talking about it earlier. I think part of it is everybody's got an opinion, and you've really got to sort through that, take it in and understand that everybody means well, and really sort through that and decide which pieces make the most sense to you. Because even internally, we had our presentation, we did well with it. There were some things we knew we needed to tweak right after. That was obvious. But now we've got 4 people involved internally that are going, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? To Brian's point, I told them yesterday, shut up. I have to present this. Stop taking out my context clues and stuff. We're not getting graded on the way it needs to look nice, but on the way the presentation looks. We're getting graded on the pitch itself. So, I definitely think, some of that stuff, because you could have, the information's fantastic, but you can have too much information overload. Yeah, and if you try to do everything, you're not going to do anything well.
Yeah, and if I could jump in real quick there too, and people got to remember that the speaker needs to be confident too, right? Because the level of confidence and comfortability with the content is as important as anything you say when you're in this kind of format. Yep. So you can't go in there sheepishly going, what was I supposed to say here again? And think you're going to have much success, right? You're going to lose confidence from the audience.
Agreed. And I want to take us to the next step. Matthew, you said about not about the deck is not as the pitch is important holistically, but I think when you look at Thread's presentation from the preliminary, they were pretty spot on. They did a really nice job. The actual visual graphics that matched with the storytelling, because that's what this is about, is storytelling, right? I don't know who was responsible in your guys' side thread to get it done like that. I know Bobby was obviously a big part, but it was really well done.
Thank you. Yeah, our head of design, Christoph, is out in Belgium. We think Europeans design everything better, so we imported that design in.
Oh, I know Kelvin's going to hear that. I don't need one more damn thing of him telling me how the Dutch are better at everything.
He should talk about that. He should.
So, Mark, while I have you up, let me ask you a question. Dean brings up a great question. Everybody here deserves to be here. No question about that. I mean, I've seen your own pitches as we've come up through this. No question you guys deserve to be here. But were there any other contenders that you were like, oh, thank God they didn't make it, that you're really worried about? Because we did have some same solution style among multiple vendors, right? Multiple offerings. So like I'm threads, chat style, right? They're similar vein, sort of. So Mark, were there any that you were like, thank God they didn't make it to the finalists? Could you be worried about it?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of self-reflection and maybe a little doubt seeping in, right, as you're going into it, especially with chat style. It's like, wait, are we too big? Maybe we're too far along. Maybe they have a certain angle that's better than us. So there was a lot of that, right? And so we thought we might not even make it to the finals. Forget about being both thread and chat style being in the finals. We thought that we might just not be selected. And then, of course, anyone that's not in cybersecurity, I think the big question is, am I going to get pushed out by all the cybersecurity firms or not? How many slots are there? How much appetite is there for non-security was something that we were worried about.
I honestly think, you know what? Think about this. Last year and this year, you're seeing different segments of business being represented. Yes, cybersecurity is sexy. AI is even sexier now, right? I mean, that's really what the new thing is, right? And I think what it comes down to, though, from all the judging that occurred and all the voting that occurred that was involved in this, is looking at practical business use cases at the end. They still, as sexy as something can be, if it's not practical and doesn't make your life easier, it's irrelevant. If it doesn't lead to dollars, it means nothing. If it doesn't lead to more efficiencies or giving you more time to go do what you want to do, everything the business owners, why they started their own business. Think about why you guys started your own business. You wanted to build something really cool, but you also wanted independence. You wanted the ability to capture what your value was and the money you want to make. You wanted to put a footprint in or whatever it was, all these different things. Everything everybody looks at product-wise leads back to, this is why VoIP is so freaking successful still at this point, because it's a practical use. It makes money. It's easy. It's something that everybody needs. That's what, at the end, that's what they're voting on. You know, unless you're bringing the Terminator up, and then everybody will vote for the Terminator. But other than that,
so
I appreciate
in terms of everyone voting next week,
it's only 3 judges.
Scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to go through this, and I'm asking you, scale of 1 to 10. How prepared do you guys feel like that you are for next week? Like, are you 100% solid? And we'll start with Matthew. How do you feel, man? 1 to 10. Like, how do you feel going into next week?
I'm a 7.5 to an 8. I think there's always room for improvement. And with some of the ads and changes, I need to go through it about 100 more times to make sure that I'm 100% comfortable with the flow. As Sean said, we did set it up as a story from the beginning to the end to make sure it makes logical sense. But what you say and how you say it is just as important. And so that's where, with some of the changes, I need some practice.
So, whatchamacallit, Brian, same question, man.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a 9. I think, where I give up the point, like I'm feeling confident that the message is where it needs to be right now, but there's 2 audiences we're all playing to, right? We're playing to the judges, and we got a scorecard that we got to align ourselves to there. But really, we're playing to the room, the future prospects and existing customers who, really are what we're there for, and making sure that our message resonates with them. So where I'm struggling a little bit is hitting every point on the scorecard makes my time a little bit tight. So there's some give and take, because really it's the people in the room that are going to be the ones that stop by the booth and hopefully become part of the community with us long term. So that's where I give up maybe a point, maybe even 2 I'll give up there, because it is that balancing act of hitting what the judges need, but hitting what the audience wants to hear, hopefully. And
Sean, how do you coach to that, right? Like, how do you coach to, you have 2 different audiences, 2 different sets of priorities. You're being graded against both simultaneously.
Yes. So, well,
how do
okay,
you
but
recommend?
you're always being graded. Okay, so think about everybody you ever talked to when you were selling to them. They all have the same questions. One is, what's the product do? What do you solve? How do you do? How do we work together? But they also want to know how stable you are as an organization too.
Yep.
So no matter what, you still have to address a financial aspect or a growth aspect or a here's who we know that gives us authority that you can trust us. It still has to be addressed. So you're still playing to both audiences regardless. The amount of information you decide to share is up to whatever is the most important and pressing to. If you had the ability to do a discovery call and you were going to then present, that's different because you know you're going to hammer on the certain points they say are the concerns. But at a high level, you can get you put bullets and so here's some things you should know about us. Bang, 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 bang. Now it's all about the important stuff, like how dope we are. Like that'd be my approach. You know that, Ray. That'd be exactly my approach. Like, but again, because they only need to know that you've addressed it to make them feel better. Most people, there's a great book called The Accidental Salesman, and he was an engineer, by the way. He was an engineer type guy, but he was an AV and liked all that stuff. And he saw the sales guy's car and was like, "Wow, I want that car." They're like, and he was applying for a job coming out of college, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to, but I'm going to go be at the radio station, the whatever it was, the back end guy." I'm like, "Well, that's his car," and it was like just a shit car, right? So he's like, "That's not going to work for me." But what he learned, and one of the things he talks about is when you're in a conversation with somebody, one thing they're always thinking is, "What's the price? What's this going to cost me? What's the catch?" Right? They always wonder that. So it's perfectly acceptable to say, "We're going to talk about price shortly. Don't worry, I'm going to cover what you're going to ask." Because now, if you don't do that, they're still thinking it. They're not paying attention to you. But if you say you're going to cover it, they put it at ease and wait till it comes again. So in the case of you guys presenting to both sides, that's how you should be approaching it. Hey, I'm going to be very transparent. This. By the way, I'm going to cover this later too. And you can literally move on.
That's you've heard me say it a million times. One of my favorite quotes is "Genius sees the answer before the question." Has nothing to do with precognition or clairvoyance. It has to do with preparation and showing the other side you've thought about it. In my experience, they care less about what the actual answer is and more that you actually already thought about it and have come up with some kind of plan.
Agree. Well, yes, because that means you've been there before too. Now you get credibility because you've done it. You've talked to enough people to know you should do it, and you've actually addressed it even at the highest of level. And like I said, you don't have to go into like, here's our last 10-year financials. They just want to know that you actually talked about like, hey, we have financials. If you want them, we can show you.
Yeah. Because
most times you do that, they're like, oh shit, okay, move on. I probably won't ask for those now.
So Mark, Matt, who's presenting for Thread?
I am with our head of growth, Bobby, and we've been preparing a ton. I think we're a 9 in readiness, maybe 9.5. The last part we're really trying to nail is having almost the words memorized. We don't want to read off of anything as much as possible, but we want to make sure that we have everything committed to memory, and so that we're polishing on that. And we're trying to do double trouble, pass the mic back and forth with Bobby, which requires us to be fully, in sync.
Yep.
So that's been fun.
So it's I'm glad you got that 9 because if you got that 9 and you're so ready to go, I think you should be the first one doing the pitch. That just makes sense to me.
Let's go. I shared my screen. Can you guys see it?
I got I got your screen here. So
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I warned you. You got 30 seconds. So
you got a deck for 30 seconds of press. Oh my god! All right,
I got 3 slides, baby.
When the timer starts, it's yours. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, Thread is a service experience platform for MSPs. Service is the most important thing that our partners provide to their customers, and it hasn't changed in 20 years. Phones are expensive and tie up everyone on the call. Emails are cheap but feel disconnected. And ironically, MSPs sell Teams, but tell customers not to reach out to them in Teams. What we do is we provide a conversational approach that creates service magic. It has chat for customers, chat for technicians. It's called ChatGPT, not Phone GPT. We're service experience.
Oh, you're done.
Done.
So,
made it.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna put poor Matt on the spot. Matt, did Mark do good, or were the slides a mistake?
No, I mean, first of all, first mistake, he still has hair, unlike Bobby. I look like Sean.
There's an obvious bias for shaved heads here. That's all I'm saying.
No doubt.
Try telling him.
Feeling it earlier.
The goggles, the goggles during the competition was great. But yeah. yeah, I think just telling the story, right? We have a really compelling why. We have really compelling value prop. Just gotta stick to the salient points.
Yeah, Sean, your opinion is the one that counts. What do you think?
So I would say you shouldn't use slides at all because we were also watching the timer. Knowing your environment is important. So I was watching you and watching the timer. I didn't look at your slides one time, so it wasn't necessary for you. And I also, but you could keep them like now. I'm not saying you shouldn't leave them to the side so you can see where you are back to keeping yourself on track, right? Absolutely, use what you need to make sure you're on track. But I don't think you need to show that right now. So I think it's important to know your environment when you get in.
I don't disagree. You're always fighting for their attention. And even when the slide deck is on there, forget the timer. Even when the slide deck is on there, you're looking at something and they're looking at something and you want them hanging on your words, in my opinion.
Yep.
So I'm not saying slides can't be useful. They're good storytelling tools. I'm just saying be careful of using it as a crutch.
They are. Well, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Slides are great for storytelling. And also if you have an image of something that especially if there's a graph of something showcasing, and you're actually highlighting, it's all part of the storytelling piece, right? I definitely think that's great. Matter of fact, on Ray's deck for VoIP, some of the big pieces we would talk about was like uptime. We would talk about the geo redundancy. It's important to have those things as a visual because it helps you talk through. It makes people understand because some people are listening, some people are looking. That's a fact. And it's good for you. But again, you can't be dedicated to just one or you're screwed.
Mark, Matt, let me ask you, what is different from this pitch than your first pitch you delivered on week 1?
I think it states the problem statement super easily, and Matt can back me up. We work on this a lot, right? Service is bad, and that it hasn't changed in 20 years. Email, like it's very clear. Email is cheap, but it sucks. The experience is poor. Phone is, great, but it's expensive. And so we get to all the pain points. Conversational fixes the problem, right? Allow your customers to chat with you.
Which is, you did very well. See, look, you just did it again without any deck, with any slides, and I paid attention to you. And you did cover things. You said what we're solving for. You addressed the problem immediately, and then you talked about why it's a problem and how you're going to work with it. And that's
so what you're saying is Matt should do the presentation with Bobby instead of Mark? Is that? No, I don't think Mark would complain about it.
We can switch it up.
Go for it.
Mark's pretty good at it, man. He's he's very concise when he wants to be concise, and then when we nerd out, that's like fireside
get
camp
off the stage.
Yeah,
that's the challenge with founder-led businesses, especially with us engineers. I get it.
Absolutely, it is, and but it's okay. It's also how you create relationships too that are lasting from that part. Yeah. So there is a trade-off. There is a win to doing it that way. Just unfortunately, in this capacity, it's not going to do you any good.
All right, Matthew, we're going to bring you up, dude. I promise I'm not going to change any of your slides or notes. So
if I don't have this memorized by now, I'm screwed.
You're screwed, right? All right, here you go. When the timer starts, you know the deal, man. It's yours. And go.
Traditional vulnerability scanning is old-fashioned. It's ineffective, it's expensive, and it's resource-intensive. Nodeware allows for 7x24 scanning. Multi-tenant dashboard allows you to dig down on vulnerabilities, provides you remediation guidance and advice.
I think the dogs are very excited about Nodeware. Is what it is. And they weren't that bad earlier. It's just they started you got them excited. You got them excited.
It's awesome. They haven't barked all morning.
We'll we'll let Brian go, and I'll give you another shot at it afterward. I think that was
as long as that second shot's only for today and not on Wednesday next week, right?
Look at that was an impressive callback to the start of the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Brian. You know the deal. Assuming there's no, you could Matthew, you could have totally swung this and be like, look, we started supporting Canines for Warriors right now, and be like, that's why you need to help us with PitchIT because
Well, if it helped, the dogs gave a donation last week. I watched them press the button, so
that's awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right, Brian. Same deal, my friend. When the timer starts, it's all yours. Let's hear it.
So vCIOToolbox is a unified account management and advisory platform that was born out of a problem we had when we were an MSP, and that was client retention and expanding relationships. What we bring to the MSP is 3 tools bundled into one package: QBR, GRC, and CSAT tools. So you can build a technology roadmap for a customer to guide them as a North Star and make sure you're building that relationship and demonstrating your value every day.
Nice. Wow.
Solid.
Okay. I mean, look at that. Good job, Brian.
We try, man. We try.
Okay, so I'll start, even though you're not going to start. Doesn't matter. I would say that I'm glad that you still talk about how it was born. I think that's a pinnacle part of the story for you, especially being that you were an MSP and you experienced these problems. Because again, now it's that feel, felt, found conversation. But it's really about you doing it and going through the process, and you addressed it in your own individual business, and then you made it scalable because you have the problems we know everybody else have. We already established even earlier today that an owner-led business struggles with the presentation piece in sales. We know that, so it's important that you address that way, and you were very concise in talking about what you're aiming at doing, what you're solving, and how you're solving it.
Yeah, I thought you did a good job, man.
Yeah, I got dusted in my first 30 seconds, so this became a point of pride for me today.
You totally did get dusted.
All right, Matthew, you ready for this? You ready? I hear the dogs have calmed down.
I was going to say, I don't see anybody out front, so I'm ready.
But you know what it is? I think it's seeing how you can perform under pressure, and you're the guy.
I kept going.
You did kept going. Yes. And I know you would have finished if I hadn't interrupted. So you were doing great, man. But let's give you your 30 seconds without the background noise. Go ahead.
Traditional vulnerability scanning is old-fashioned, ineffective, expensive, and resource-intensive. Nodeware fixes this problem by running 7x24 in the background, providing a multi-tenant dashboard, ranking vulnerabilities critical, high, medium, and low, providing remediation guidance and advice, and rolls out in under 30 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Good, but you wasted 10 seconds. I like to know what that means to me. You have 10 seconds to work with.
Okay.
I'm take advantage of the time, right? So, helping, and here's something with I'm saying, because you had 10 seconds, especially, you might as well say, no matter what size of MSP, work with you all, or anything along those lines. Address another pain point people that would not talk to you. Maybe say, you're out of my league. No, we're not. Or, hey, it also, what this leads to is you saving 40% time because you're not focusing on X. Something along those lines. But otherwise you covered all the specifics easily. But you might as well leverage the time.
Okay.
So, that's all she wrote, guys. I'm not going to do any voting. I'm not going to torture you because we have it next week. We have the big thing. We got this $70,000. What is it, $30,000 and steak knives? And
then steak knives from Marvin B because he's really excited about that. From the dollar store.
So I'm very
steak knives. Are we going out to dinner?
No.
I mean,
you can't. You've got dinner all you want. I'm actually having a dinner at the conference. It's the the big buffet.
You're nice. I'll cover breakfast. You cover dinner. How's that?
I got it.
At the conference.
You know what? I'm glad we can work teamwork.
Teamwork. It makes the dream work.
You're welcome,
and one of the nights we'll have some parties and offer liquor.
That's a great. You know what? That's. Yeah. Let me check my budget. Yes, we are. We're good. We're gonna have drinks for you too, Matthew.
But no rap battles this year. So
right. But we are having. But everybody needs to make sure they're there by 2:30 because the bar opens at 2:30 at PitchIT. There's literally an open bar at 2:30. So come get, and you guys probably will need a couple of drinks. Let's be honest. So must come have a couple of drinks, take some pictures, get together, meet up. Don't forget to deliver your deck to Andrea by Tuesday, or else she'll be telling you about it. Andrea Barrow, thank you to her because she keeps things on check. So make sure you take care of it.
And she was on Tech Bar last night. Sean, one of the drinking words on Tech Bar last night was dog. I'm surprised anybody went to work today. Because
I have not checked on Andrea about that today, but I can ask her.
Yeah, you might want to because, and it was specifically to promo the Canines for Warriors, so dog was said a lot.
Oh, my goodness.
Dean is asking who the best PitchIT finalist host was, and he's only asking because he hosted one of these.
He did a really nice job.
He did do a good job.
He was far more organized and on point than anything we've ever done. Like literally, He's a great. You should be using him as an opener for you.
Oh no, we got Danilo for that. And if anybody wants to see the Danilo opener, come see me at IT Nation next week. It is special and then some.
It's horrible.
Yeah, no, Dean's a great hype man, and he did pretty good. Just let him take over this next year and let the professionals do it. You know what the difference is? He worries about this stuff in advance and prepares, whereas you and I just walk up to the stage and grab a mic. So
that's kind of in this case.
Yeah. I'm glad that carried over into solid.
We're amongst friends. It's easier. It's like having a drink.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, my friends. Well, it's been awesome. I personally have enjoyed seeing you guys grow throughout the PitchIT season. I've been loving hearing the different pitches you guys gave the first couple weeks as we went through the season, and this last week seeing what we're the preview of what we're going to see next week. I'm very excited to see how you guys do next week. And seriously, I wish you all the best of luck. So thanks to each and every one of you. I will see you at IT Nation next week. Those of you in the audience, thanks for watching. If you missed any part of this, go back and rewatch. It's recorded on all the platforms. And until next week, take care of yourselves and each other.
See you
Thank
next
you
week.
guys as well.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
This has been a broadcast of the